Greetings all. As we begin, I want to start by asking the ancestors to guide and protect us as we share today and what is shared with us as well. So greetings everyone. It's great to have you here with us today on this first evening in our series of racial trauma and growth, an event organised by the London ACES Hub Racial Justice Working Group in partnership with Trauma Informed Schools UK. My name is Koya Cassandra Conteh, and I'm a cultural activist and a drama therapist. And I'm also the co-lead, the London ACES Hub Racial Justice Working Group. And I'll be facilitating this evening with my fellow co-lead, brethren, Derek Williams, and our London ACES Hub Operational Directors, Tiane, Graziottin, and Roger Grimshaw. Over to the three of you now to do your thing.
Okay, well, thank you, Koya, and hello, everyone. My name is Derek Williams. I'm the co-leader of the London ACES Hub Racial Justice Group. So I'm also a community leader, and I do a lot in the community. I'm looking forward to tonight. It's going to be great. So everyone, stay tuned. It's going to be really buzzing.
Brilliant. Thank you, Koya and Derek. Welcome, everyone, on behalf of the London ACES Hub Network. My name is Tiane Graziottin. I am one of the directors of the London ACES Hub. I am also immensely happy to be here today with you. It has been a long journey to put this event together, and we are thrilled to be able to facilitate this space for deeper reflection on racial trauma, its impacts, and the way forward. The London ACES Hub aims to promote awareness of adverse childhood experiences or ACEs, trauma-informed care, and resilience building among all the diverse communities of London. Roger will share a bit more about who we are, and it's over to you, Roger.
Well, welcome everyone. It's really great having you with us today. My name is Roger Grimshaw, and I'm also one of the London ACES Hub directors. The London ACES Hub is an independent and voluntary network, and we're registered as a community interest company. Our network is made of survivor activists, community advocates, and multidisciplinary professionals who are committed to raising questions about the persistence of common adversities in London, including all forms of discrimination. And our 3 evenings on racial trauma and growth are part of this commitment. And now we're passing the word back to Koya and Derek so they can share with you our call to action and give you more details about today's program.
Thank you all. Thanks so much. So I'll read loudly our London ACES Hub Racial Justice Call to Action 26th of September statement, which has now been active for 1.5 years. Call to Action 26th of September statement. The London ACES Hub recognises and acknowledges that racism is an adverse child experience that causes deep-rooted traumas, denies the full humanity, and limits the opportunities to thrive for individuals and communities, resulting in a loss for the society as a whole. We believe that there is an urgent and growing evidence that the individual, interrelational, and historical harm produced by racism constitutes a public health crisis in London. This crisis can be addressed and prevented by proactive awareness raising, empathy building, and cultural, systemic, and structural changes. We call for support and appeal to the London government, statutory and non-statutory organisations, parents and heads of homes, children and young people, educators, multidisciplinary professionals, survivors, and community advocates from all backgrounds to prevent and end the harmful consequences of racism. We have the power as individuals and a collective to make this happen, one committed step at a time to end the adverse childhood experience of racism in London.
So the evening will be divided into 3 sections. Okay, so we will start with the film, playing the initial 45 minutes of the film, and then we'll accompany that with 3 evenings of the event.
So the film we're presenting was produced by Trauma Informed Schools as an education document, and we are really grateful to them, especially Margot Sutherland, for their collaboration. We would also like to say a big thanks to Joe Quinnell, who facilitated the partnership, and Mpumon Pofu, and our colleagues of the Racial Justice Working Group who contributed to the planning of the film screening. We think that the film presents a truthful and moving picture of racial trauma in all its aspects. More than this, it is an ultimatum for action and serious discussion about how trauma can be challenged and defeated. Today, we will be focusing on the impact of racial trauma. Tomorrow and Friday, we'll be showing and exploring the parts of the film which will deal in more detail with the actions that must be taken to promote genuine growth.
Well, unavoidably, this is a difficult topic, and the film and discussion may bring up memories that might trigger or stir up emotion inside of us. So we don't set out to cause any discomfort to anyone, but we just want to make sure that everyone is aware of what is happening. If anyone feels uncomfortable or need to take a break for a while to pause, please do so, and then come back in whenever they feel ready. Let's hold the space together and value one another.
We hope that this event will provide you with the information and opportunity to consider the depths of the problem, but we also hope it will inspire us all to think about ways that we can increase hopes and resilience, coming together as communities, promoting recovery and pushing for serious changes. Okay, so now I'm going to introduce our speakers for this evening. I'm going to start with introducing Desmond Skyers. He's a powerhouse out here. Desmond is an author, motivational speaker, and the lead developer of St. Giles Trust Mentoring Program, which provides mentoring support to children and young people in learning environment and the community. He is an acting team leader at St. Giles Trust in the SOS Plus Early Intervention Schools Program, creating and providing positive interventions for the development needs of the students. Desmond is passionate about the work due to his own lived experience and his desire to pay it forward. In addition, Desmond is also the trustee of the Prisoners Abroad human rights charity.
Yeah, thank you so very much, first of all, for the opportunity to share my thoughts in this amazing and consequential, if you will, discussion. Koya, you're a very special person, and I just want to thank you for sharing that very powerful portion of the film. I work with young children and young people that was once identified as juvenile delinquent way back when. When I was growing up, we were called bad boys, and today that's characterization now moved to at risk and vulnerable. And none of those terms ever talk about why a young person was a juvenile delinquent, why a young person was a bad boy, or today why a young person is at risk and vulnerable. It is as if the question, we are supposed to just accept it as a fact without no context. These kids are just at risk and vulnerable for no reason, or they were born like that, or they were predisposed to be like that. My own experience, Koya, is one that involves criminality, criminal activities. It involves gang activities. It involves imprisonment. It involves finding space to grow and develop. But all of that happened because of disengagement. Because for whatever reason, by age 9, I was disengaged from the learning institution, learning environment. I was mentally and emotionally disengaged at age 9. By age 12, I'm identifying with the gang culture. By age 15, I accept the gang culture. That is entrenchment. There was nobody there to say to me, why? Nobody dared to talk to me about the pain and the sadness, the stress, if you will, that pushes a young man who, at age 8, coming on to 9, every family member was saying, you're such a bright boy. You're such a bright boy. I was really skinny. I was one of them little maga Jamaican boy. And my mom was a single mom. My dad had mental issues. We were born in England. They went back to Jamaica in the independence movement in 1962. And, you know, my dad had mental issues and he left my mom by herself. My mom had to raise 9 kids by herself. And it was pressure every day. Every day was one drama for another. There was no support system. There was no understanding of the issues. There was no nothing. So by the time I begin to be able to do anything, the only thing I know to do is to rebel. And my first rebellion come from people telling me I'm maga. And that was a trigger for me. And a lot of these young people that we are dealing with today, I have to tell you, there's a lot of things that is triggering them. It is the intersectionality of their issues, whether it's environmental, whether it's family, lack of resources, whether it's systematic racism or microaggression racism, or macro, which is a blunt object. And the micro would be like killing you with 1,000 cuts. And that's what these kids, these young people are going through. So Koya, your expression about having that sadness, that stress about bringing a boy in this world, you're not alone. There's millions, thousands of young Black women that are going through the same thing right now. And I believe this discussion will help to bring sight to that, to put picture to that. And for that, I just want to say a very big thank you. I know time is always of the essence, and as you know, Koya, I love to chat, but I'm just gonna step back a little bit and say thanks again, and that's just a little bit of what I have to say. I'm very appreciative of the opportunity to share those few thoughts.
Thank you, Desmond. Thank you. That was yeah, that was powerful. I would now like to introduce Danielle Hibbert, my sister. Danielle is an East Londoner passionate about community support. She has gained a wealth of information, knowledge and skills in her various roles such as a peer mentor, outreach worker, foster carer, special guardian, housing service officer, and her collaboration with a number of charities and youth organisations such as Be Wise, Womanhood Academy, and UWAF, to name a few. Having recently gained another qualification in her youth work practice, she continues to upskill and share her knowledge and experience to engage with the community in order to empower and support holistic health and well-being. Sister Queen Danielle, can you please turn on your camera and unmute yourself? And yeah, over to you, Queen. What do you have for us?
Greetings, good night, everybody. Koya, thank you. London ACES Hub, thank you. I'm actually still taking in everything that was said, and there were so many things that I related to: being a mother, having a son, my son being my firstborn, and having that anxiety of bringing a young Black man into the world, and just being able to guide him and steer him in the right direction so he doesn't get caught up in the wrong crowd or be part of a stereotype within school. Looking at the video with the young boy and his mum, and her not necessarily understanding that just because her son is a young Black boy, that it's okay for him to be stopped and searched. This is something that it sends fire in my belly, because yes, the police are out there to help and serve and protect, but essentially, are they doing that if they are putting anxiety and fear in people who are good, honest people? There's the essence that I studied sociology, the self-fulfilling prophecy. If you're telling young Black boys that, you know, you're criminals, what is to say they're not going to take that in and become the criminals? If they're in schools and you're teaching them Black history, which only starts from slavery, you're not teaching them about the power that they have within, you know. So there's so many aspects to being at home and learning your history. And then there's the curriculum, which I'm sure you're going to cover in the other evenings, but the curriculum needs to change, because essentially non-Blacks are learning that Black people were slaves and that's all they ever were. You know, we were kings and queens before then. So that needs to become, you know, more apparent for everybody to learn. It's not just about us learning the real history, it's about everyone else learning that history. My name, Danielle Hibbert, I find it's a very European name. So I made sure that my son had a very powerful name, because I believe, and what I was taught is that, you know, your name is like your job description. So give your children powerful names that can guide them, serve them. Because when we continue to filter ourselves out and walk into the paths of what they want us to be, we're putting ourselves back down there. And I think that that's where we need to stop. I was looking at, you know, being in the schools and everyone having to take the same test. We're all very different. There's the subject of the orange. Depending on where you come from, the question could be, what color is an orange? Dependent on where you're from, an orange might be orange, but if you're from the Caribbean, it's green. No one is wrong. So these are the certain things that we need to address, in the sense of we are all different. We can't be using the same curriculum from 40, 50 years ago. We are in a multicultural society. We should all be accepted. We should all be given an opportunity, which is what we're not getting right now. We have a number of organizations that I'm very grateful for, but essentially they wouldn't be necessary if the system was implementing it all anyway, you know. There's the essence of the stereotypes and, you know, the hoodies and the low back jeans or whatever they call it. You know, any young person that I work with, I ask them why they dress that way. Why do they understand like the backstories of the dress codes that they do? And half of them don't do it. They're just doing it because they are trying to fit in. And if you're excluding certain people, you have Black children that are too white for the Black kids and then too Black for the white kids. So where do they sit? And it's about trying to allow them a scope where they can just be, so that they're not just the disruptive children. We need to be able to engage our young people so that they do want to learn. My son is 10. He hates school. Why does he hate school? Because he can't engage. He doesn't fully understand why he's having to learn certain things, because to him it doesn't make sense, because he's not seeing himself. So that is something that I feel needs to be looked at. And so I wrote a few little things down. And we need to, you know, come together, because I find that we're quite segregated. Even as a people, we're very segregated. And I think we need to have more of us fighting the real fight, because we have these individual protests and it's always when something terrible happens. And then when that's over, everyone sort of hushes down. But there needs to be a continual fight to get to a better place. And that's why I am so motivated to continue to work within the community, work with our young people of color to do better so that they can believe in themselves, so that we can reduce the mental health, the self-hate that they have, because there is so much more to us. We're not just athletes, we're not just musicians, that there are amazing young people out there that are truly talented. And I think if we could, as a people, as a system, recognize that and encourage people to do what is good for them as individuals and not just collectively, then I think it would be a lot better. But yeah, I think I should stop talking now so that we've got time for Q&A. But again, thank you. And this is the time, and it's not just for Black people to do this. It's not just African, Caribbean. Everyone needs to come together to make this work. And that's it.
Thank you. Thank you, Danielle. Thank you. Appreciate your sharing. Yeah, that was powerful. Derek?
Yes. I think what we're going to do now, we're going to open up for a question and answer, Q&A. So we're going to look at Tiane and Roger to see what your participants are saying, and we're going to see what we get. You can put the questions in the box to ask questions. So that's open to you. Tiane and Roger?
Yes, hello everybody. Thanks Danielle and Desmond, Koya, Derek, all of you there in this community. Unfortunately, we can't bring everybody as a gallery view for us to really build this screen as a community. So we do invite you, if you would like to put your hands up. There is the function for hands up at the bottom of your screen, should be somewhere for you to put your hands up, and I'm very happy to make you a panelist as well, so you can share your question if you prefer, or your comments, ask questions to Desmond and Danielle, or share your comments about the film as well. So we really want to hear all your voices, because as everybody said so far it's extremely there is a lot there in the film, right, for us to process and reflect and share together. So yeah, don't be shy. We have a few comments on the chat. I would like to read them and share with them, Roger. A few comments that our participants shared, but please, if you do have a question, do drop in the Q&A box. And again, go and raise your hand and we bring you in the conversation.
Yeah, thanks, Tiane. Lots of reactions to our great speakers' comments. Really deep, says Melissa Jo Smith. Really deep and powerful. Judith is saying, yeah, agree. It's really, really powerful. And those, those were particularly powerful words coming from Desmond, from the heart, absolutely. And people are thanking Desmond for sharing insights, and Danielle too. So Melissa Jo Smith, yeah, thank you. Thank you, Danielle, such moving and important words. Peaches is here with us. We welcome Peaches. Good to have you in the room. You're saying, well done, Danny. So there are reactions that are coming through, and I think we have some questions.
Yes, we have Olivia here with us. Olivia, would you like to share your question, any comment?
Yeah, I'd like to thank for the video shown and also for all of the introductions that you gave about yourself. I am a white mum and I married someone who was from Africa, and both our children have African names. I was raised in a racist family and I didn't want anything to do with it, so I got as far away as possible from that. But I did find it difficult to know what to do as a white mum with children who were not white. and people were quite negative for me from birth onwards. For when the children were born, I was asked if I was babysitting them. I was asked if I really wanted to stay with my husband. I was told I really should take my white surname because I'll never get work in my career. I mean, it was like constant after I got married, and I was really proud of the name that I married into. And because there's a huge African culture and history around the country that my husband came from. But it seemed that I was being told to shut up a lot. And then when I was in white community, racist things were being said all the time. And the one thing that I used to do when they would get really nasty, I would bring out a picture of my baby when my son was 1. And I said, oh, do you mean killing ones like that? And they would say, no, 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 I didn't mean babies. And I was like, well, what about when he grows up? And then they go, well, no, 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 we didn't mean that. And then I said, well, that's my son. And they said, are you sure? And I would go, yes, I'm very sure. And so this kind of nonsense occurred from the beginning, but I was also not sure where I fit in, because I definitely didn't want to be in white society where I was hearing a lot of racist stuff. But I was also hearing some things about, well, you are from a different culture and you will have to learn the different ways. And I was also placed in a dumb school area as a teenager because I stuck up for something that was racist from a teacher, and I said this will not happen. So they put me in the dumb school, and I was there for 4 years, and it was all black kids. These kids weren't dumb. They were just black. That was their only difference. And so I saw this horror from kind of an early age, and I sort of don't know what to do with it, because I'm angry at the white folk that have been saying some really cruel things. But I'm also, I can't say, oh, well, I'm African now because I married an African, because people will obviously look at me and go, really?
Thanks so much. Thanks so much, Olivia. There is so much there, right?
Yeah.
Thanks for your contribution. I'm just very much aware of the time, but there is so much there. Desmond and Danielle would like to reply.
I would just say to Mom that I'm a woman government type person. So when I hear mothers speak, I get really emotional because I was raised by a single mother. So I just want to tell you, Mom, be proud of your 2 beautiful sons. Be proud and strong and be confident and know that you are making a difference in society for standing up for people who, may feel like they don't have no power to stand up for themselves. If even you have to do that through, bearing your own pain, your voice in this, what you have just said right there, is a part of the solution. And I just want to give you that credit. I just want to let you know that is so beautiful, and you must continue to do that, because they have a sense to say that receive, analyze, and apply. We can talk all we want about the problem. And if we are not willing to understand it and to analyze it and to apply reasonable and applicable solution to the problem, we're always going to have this problem. I believe we are living in a time when young people are saying, no, we're tired of that old thinking. Just like that little boy tell his mom in the video. He tell his mom, he didn't disrespect his mother. Yeah. He just tell his mother, no, I don't agree with that, Mom. So yeah.
That's great. That's great, Desmond. That's good advice. Olivia, I hope that's good for you.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. We're going to try and move along and get the questions in the box. So we're going to get some more questions and answers. So let's see what we've got there. Any more, Roger or Tiane?
Sure. we have a question from Cassandra Vitalis-Carter. The film is really informative. Why did you not have more experts by experience rather than reference to them? I guess this is one for people who were involved in the film in some way.
Derek, do you want to take that one, Derek?
But I think when they made the film, it was talking, I think when you say experts, they need to define experts because we've all been through a situation. So it's difficult to say, what do you define as an expert? You understand? Because if you go globally, a person of color, we experience so much similar challenges that you can hear the same story. If you go to Africa, the West Indies, to America, go around the world and you find the experience from people who live in certain neighborhoods or Black or brown people who have experienced the same challenges. So that's where I think we are really. And for an expert, I think we're all experts in our own way in that because we've gone through that.
That's right.
I hope that answers the question, but that's from coming from the heart.
Yeah. Koya, any comments on that? I can see Joanna raising her hand as well, and we have 8 minutes to go. Any comments on that, on Cassandra's point, Koya?
Yeah, I suppose we could have had some more experts by experience, I suppose, to get more of a understanding of what Derek actually said, more people, more understanding of other people's experiences. Yeah. And those that were on it were experts by experience, if you like, in the fact that we were all speaking from our place of the lived experience of where we were. Yeah. And maybe that's what we do need as well in the voices being heard, because that's something that that's what it is. There's so many voices. We have so many things to say, but not always heard or listened to. And things, as Desmond said, implemented from that action taken. So, yeah.
Exactly, Koya. And as Danielle was saying before, right, Danielle, the orange example as well, how experience the expert by experience, but the everyday experience, right? As Olivia was reflecting as a white mother of a mixed race child and all the experiences that she has been going through as a mother, but all our sisters and brothers of Black skin and different colors of skin go through every single day this experience. So everyone is expert by experience in that sense, right? That's for sure. And the symbolism of the language, right? Today is about racial awareness in the language. As you're saying, the orange is not only an orange in that context, right, Danielle? An orange is much more, it's not only what the color is of the orange. So there's so much here to reflect, indeed. Joanna, would like to share your video or your voice with us. You can choose how you would like to participate in the conversation. I made you a panelist as well, so feel welcome to choose.
Thank you. I won't share my screen because I wasn't expecting to speak necessarily. And excuse me as well, because I've not got much of a voice at the moment, but I think it was just in relation to that question, or the question about people with lived experience. I guess what I was thinking is that it's quite difficult, isn't it, for people to share their experiences without re-traumaing taking place. I think it takes a lot of courage for people to share their experiences, and particularly in a film where it becomes a legacy, you know, it's once it's recorded, it's recorded. And I think just because you've just mentioned language again, I'm thinking that we don't always have the language to be able to articulate our experiences, our feelings, the impact of those experiences, because it could be the first time that somebody has been asked about their experiences related to race and how they've been treated, etc. And so I think maybe for me, I am really mindful around that element of people speaking from their experience before they're ready to speak. from their experience, because I think it can be very challenging for people to say thank you to the people that did speak. And in particular for me as a mum of 3, my firstborn was a Prince too. And I hadn't really thought about the anxiety. I've thought about the anxiety of having a son, most definitely on numerous occasions. But I hadn't thought about maybe an anxiety whilst I was carrying him. So that's really given me lots of food for thought. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanna.
Thank you for that sharing, Joanna.
Yeah,
and very true.
We've got any more? We've got time for one more, Tiane? Or Roger, one more?
We have, thanks for that as well, Joanna. Roger, yes, we have 3 minutes left, and our 5 speakers needed to have a closure comment as well. But Roger, do you want to add something?
Well, just touching on what we said earlier, this theme of how parents can talk to their children is coming through in the questions. So there's a question from Mr. Joe Smith to Koya. As a parent of young men of color, how do you support your young men without making them feel scared? It's a tough question, I guess.
Yeah, it is a tough question, and it's tough. It's hard to do it. But what I am doing, I'm learning as I'm going with my child is I don't tell him things like he has to do better than anybody else. I tell him he just needs to do the best that he can. I'm not sure what I will do when he starts, and this is not me trying to put any negativity out there, but we know that one of the things that can definitely happen to our boys is a stop and search. That hasn't happened to him yet. So I don't know how I'll deal with that when that comes. How do I stop him from being scared? I don't. I work on my anxiety around it to be calm so that I can be calm around him and share with him in a way that doesn't allow him to, hopefully, allows him to feel strong within himself, powerful with himself, and who he is and how he is, be able to look after himself in that way. So yeah, my answer is I'm learning as I'm going. Yeah, and then I have people around me as well who help me to do that as well, Yeah.
Very good. Well said.
Thanks, Koya. So now we are 1 minute to go. Danielle and Desmond would like to say a closing comment for the evening before we go to Koya and Derek to close.
I would just like to say it's not just about talking, it's not just about reading, it's action. Without action, our voices are not going to be heard. We need to act.
And I would echo that, Danielle. I look at it, I put numbers to it. I said the problem is 10%. The process to solution is 70%, is 60%, and the solution is 20%. So the hardest part is to get from problem to solution. So this film, this demonstration tonight is a step incrementally, I might add, little steps toward that solution. We have to make sure we embrace the process to get from problem to solution, because that's where we're losing faith. We with 1 foot up and something happen, we just say, oh, I'm tired, I'm not going to do it no more. We got to embrace that process and go for the solution, action. I embrace that with you, Danielle, and that's just my little final 2 cents.
Thank you, Desmond, again, and thank you, Danielle. That was brilliant. And I want to thank everyone for coming tonight and who's attended and who's on here. And for your recognition, we're going to be sending out a CPPD certificate. And also, if you're interested in finding out more about the ACES Hub, there's a form and things to answer. So please fill the forms in and stay tuned for ACES Hub. Find out.
Yeah, so thanks everyone, and thank you to our speakers, Danielle and Desmond. You lot are absolute fire. So as we arrive at the end now of our first evening of racial trauma and growth, tomorrow's topic will be on power and systemic racism, the ocean we are swimming in. The film will play for 25 minutes, so we have more time to reflect together and interact, and we'll be focusing even more on action. Transformation and change, people, transformation and change. So we look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. Thank you for today and have a blessed rest of the evening, beautiful people. Yeah, it's all love, isn't it?
All the way.